Coffee. Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong. Welcome to the back office. I thought I would have a little chat with you while I do some, busy work. I have some LEDs to sort of make up into cables, and I think that it's probably one of those things that I could probably buy them, but it's going to be quicker just for me to rattle them off right now because I just need them to finish a project. So I'm just marking this piece of wood. That's going to be my little lengthometer, or ruler as it's more commonly known. The reason being I need to get 10 lengths, 5 of black, 5 of, I should be using side cutters so I don't blunt my scissors, cables. I think that's about the right length basically, and just thought it might be interesting to show you the sort of process I use for this. So I've got wire, LEDs here, resistors over there, and just off camera a bit of heat shrink. So I'm just going to put together a few more. Just let you know what I've been up to. Really, I've been basically very busy with actual electronic projects, and there's nothing more I love and can get fully engrossed in than a real, genuine electronic project. One of them is based in the well, actually, I think there's probably 3 if you include my evening pursuits. One of them is based on automotive technology, and that's sort of reading the systems in cars and CAN buses and things like that. That's very interesting. The other one is the Booby Cortex-I that you've seen possibly in one of the design videos. Those boards are very exciting, so I've had to learn how to code onto that sort of ARM platform, but I have to say they make it very easy, and they're going to be a very exciting board. I've put the pre-production batch basically through its paces. I'm very, very pleased, and I'm looking forward to getting a production run of those, because those are performing admirably well. And not only that, I've included on the hardware the option for a CAN bus transceiver, so that all the pre-production units have that fitted, and it's marvelous actually. They can all talk to each other. It's like a genuine IoT device, and if you look up the specs for CAN bus, you can get quite a long, I think it's up to 1 kilometre on that bus, so it's really cool, and it's really easy to sort of wire bus things in together. There's no it's not like serial where you've got RX and TX and you can twist them round the wrong way and end up with your designs all to pot. You've got a CAN high and a CAN low, and that's it. All the highs connect together, all the lows connect together, and it just bloody works. So that's been phenomenal. And also the RetroNet, and if you're not aware, I have designed, and again pre-production batch now, of RetroNet hardware, and this is a small dongle that lets you hook up to any retro computer in essence, and basically get them on Wi-Fi. So I've been putting those through their paces in the evening, and they're working again remarkably well. It's nice. It's like I like it when a plan comes together. So I design the hardware, get the PCBs made, order the BOM, put it all together, and it just bloody works. That's kind of how you want things to go in your life, and they do. I almost feel surprised, to be honest with you, that there's no major mistakes. In fact, I'm not really sure I found any mistakes on the PCBs in terms of their design. Just there's probably some layout improvements that would make it easier to lay out by hand, for example. Not that I care, because a robot will be making them somewhere else. I'm not making them myself, but yeah, it would have been easier to sort of build those pre-production, because if you're not aware, I build them all by hand. And what sort of some design decisions, because I do use what's the small size, the 0402 size resistors in things, and some of my designs I always try to refine them so that it's only on a double-sided board, because I don't want to sort of mess too much with more layers. But I have a feeling using that size 0402s is probably more of a hindrance, because you can't really route wires underneath them, or route wires if you're going to speak in proper British parlance, route wires underneath them. So using them actually becomes more tedious, because you end up with doing lots of laps around your board and way more wires, because they're always bloody in the way. They just sort of consume board space. So if you're making your own design, you sort of think about that. Sometimes a bigger component is better because it acts as a bridge, and it can hook from one end of your PCB to the other. No, not quite one end, but yeah, a big chunk of your PCB together. You'll get a lot of other wires and tracks and signals running underneath them. So that itself, then, that's an interesting project, because not only does it work, and I want to then start doing a production batch of that at some point. I'm at a sort of nexus where I've got a case idea drawn up, and I could have soft tooling made, and we're talking about a lot of investment here. You're talking into the thousands at that point, and a lot of time and money has gone in for it thus far, and to sort of see it through to sort of make it the true product. But I have no idea how to gauge the market size for it, or whether or not it's worth doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm considering trying to use a platform, maybe like Kickstarter or something like that, to really launch this and get all the final bits of the electronic hardware, case design, software, firmware all updated based on that. But I feel it's one of those projects that's quite a dead cert, if you know what I mean. I'm not vaporware project like a lot of these you see. And then that way I'd have an idea of how many people want it. I can get the funding needed to actually get the tooling made and get all that made. But so what I might do though, I'm going to embark though on doing some moulding, because I haven't done resin work for a while. I certainly have never done any resin moulding. So I've 3D printed out the case, and I'm pretty happy with the results. If I go get the SLA 3D printing done, I think I could just have 3D printed cases. But those indeed also work out very expensive. So you're talking, instead of having £50, by the way, per case, you're talking at something like £25 per case. So it's still bloody ridiculous for that. It's cheaper. I'd probably just go and buy an SLA 3D printing machine and only 3D print my cases. But what I think will be more charming is to do resin cast enclosures, which is what I've sort of investing now some time in. So you'll probably see some videos on doing that. The reason being manyfold. One, it's entirely in my control, and I don't rely on anybody. So I can just you can tell I'm a very productive person, especially if I don't rely on anybody else. I could just crack on. So I can just go on and build the mold box and just mold them and get on with it. Make a whole bunch, as many as I want. Two, I can refine the design. If I don't like a design, I can just quickly refine it. Obviously permitting the actual technology used, because obviously you're going to have limitations on what you can form that way. But more importantly, it gives me the ability to adjust. When you use these resins, you normally use a clear resin, or I'll be using a clear resin. Resins generally are clear, and they have pigments that give them their colour. So if you use any potting, for example, and you've got that black resin, where's my bloody ball of solder gone? When you're doing potting, you've got that black resin. That's because it's clear resin with pigment added. So they'll just add a black pigment, which is a bit like a black laser printer toner. That's probably the close enough analogy to what it is. And I'll be able to do the same. And because I wanted in the actual final design to have different colour cases, because a RetroNet unit should match the colour of the machine it's going in. So if it's a Sinclair Spectrum, I'd expect it to be white. If it's a sort of TRS-80, you'd probably want grey. BBC, beige. Atari ST, white. Commodore 64 can probably get away with the same beige, but you get my idea. And not only that, I want to supply them with decals. So you can actually decal them up as you want. So if you've got a Beeb one, of course, you'll get the little owl. You could stick that on it. If you have a C64, you want the nice Commodore emblem on there. Amiga, same thing. Atari. All of these companies had really distinct brands, and I would want the little modem to be the same style. And of course, I probably didn't make that clearer as I was talking earlier, that it does look like a modem. It's awesome. It just looks like the same sort of modems you might have used in the 90s and probably early 2000s if you didn't have broadband. And it's gorgeous. So, and there's also another benefit, guys. For those of you who are really interested, We might be able to do some pimp ones where it's basically clear, but we'll add a glitter, which I don't know what that's going to do to the Wi-Fi antenna. It may or may not affect it, probably not really affect it enough for us to care. But yeah, you'll get it. It'll be like a translucent one with a glitter inlay, and if we do that, of course, it only makes sense that you'd be able to see all the internal LEDs and things. Now, the only downside with the resin is I really don't think it's easy to make a 2.5 case. So I was just going to effectively pot it in the resin, which means it's slightly less hackable. You know, it's going to be a bit less hackable to open up if you want to do something with it, but I don't think there's much you want to do apart from just use it. It's designed to be used. It's a usable thing. But there is a reset button in the unit, and in development I hit the reset button quite a lot. But that's because I'm too lazy to send the appropriate command in the terminal. And the appropriate command in the terminal is the modem hangup, which is tilde +++, you know, ATH. You know, the usual, you'll be used to this, the usual place, and that'll put it back into the AT command mode. So there's no real reason at all to have the reset button, and it's really horrible to fit. It's probably the worst component on the whole board other than the USB port to fit. Micro USBs, by the way, are a real bugger. They're a horrible thing to hand fit. What have I done here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, it's 10 LEDs, isn't it? Bugger, I've only done 5. Oh well, let's just finish these ones off. So yeah, you don't need the reset button then, and it can be totally potted, and it'll be basically and not potted's not the right word. It's over molded. It'll be a resin over mold, which will be awesome. It'll be awesome. And the nice thing about resin is you can add all sorts of things. So if you wanted to, you can add other particles, not only just toner like color ones, but you can add other plastics, like people add ABS, glass reinforcement. That's why, you know, when you get a good quality battery for your drill compared to a Chinese one, the difference, I say Chinese one, they're all Chinese. I don't want to sound like a racist. I'm not being a racist here. They are made in China, but you'll know what I mean. You'll get a cheap brand, and the cheap brand's battery will feel a bit weird, and that's because it will be, say, pure ABS. Whereas if you buy, like, you know, your Makita or something, the battery will feel a certain way, and that's because the battery will have had glass reinforced plastic added to it. And if you want to know how to tell the difference, I'm just going to be. My side cutters have gone blunt, so I'm going to have to get some new side cutters. In fact, look here, we have a battery here. So this is a DeWalt battery. You can normally tell by how easily it will scratch. So this one I'm not so sure. It is cutting, but it's pretty. You know, you see what I mean? That's pretty good. It's quite scratch resistant, and that's just because it's harder, because it's had that additive in there before they you know, injection molded or rotor molded it. So yeah, I'm using these scissors to cut my component leads, which is really bad. But yeah, these have been totaled now. They do get a lot of wear. I've got to be fair to them. And I mean, that's a Pros kit is CPC's own brand, cheap own brand. But you know, I use them a lot. But the thing with side cutters, expensive or cheap, it doesn't really matter. As soon as you use them inappropriate on something, and you do something, you know, you bend the, oh come on, you bend the blade. That's it. They're never really quite right after that. Same with scissors, actually. Snip. Now I'm just going to tack the other end of this LED. So the bit that's interesting about this, and you can see I'm gonna have to do a production line at some point. It's not, doing one-offs on these things is a bit tedious. So I'm going to go now use this as the reference and go and cut all the LEDs and legs and everything, and this batch through all this. The bit that'll make it nice and finished is the application of some heat shrink. So I've got a selection here, so I'm just going to sort of size some up. I think this black heat, maybe a bit of black heat shrink and a bit of yellow. You know, the yellow might fit on the other one. So I'm just going to cut. I'm going to do it quite long, actually. I've left those ridiculously long, but it's fine. let's see if I can get away with half and half. We'll do these in halves. I don't want to run out of heat shrink. You can buy heat shrink on a roll, by the way, if you're ever tempted, but I would advise you just to get the whole box like that. They're cheap enough. And the problem with the roll, unless you're using massive amounts of the one on the roll, one, it will hang around forever, but two, it's a weird material. It doesn't really like being on a roll. And then also, look at this. If you're doing this yourself, in fact, I'm going to... No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We were using a lot of heat shrink on that black, but at the same time, it does mean the black and the red are the same length wire at the other end. Oh, actually, they're not. Bugger. How did I manage that? They're both attaching at this end, so maybe I didn't measure them up right. Anywho, life's too short to worry about that. Let's get some heat on those. Yeah, it's just unwieldy stuff, and it seems to get damaged on the roll sitting on your shelf. And it's never the right size. It's always too big or too small. So we've started investing in the selections, and yeah, never look back. Never look back. And I think that's it. That is one of my LEDs with some heat shrink on a bed of wood. There we go. An amazing garnish for any electronic project. So yeah, nice having this lovely catch up with you, this nice little bit of a chat. I'm going to just battle through because you don't want to see me making another 9 of these, even though I only cut for 5. And yeah, please comment down below, as ever. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't know when this is going out, but have a great day, have a great weekend, have a great week, have a great bank holiday, have a great vacation. As ever, thanks for watching.